The Try Guys are talking Ned Fulmer, Zach almost quitting, and fears they had during their scandal. And realistically, this whole thing just feels like it was maybe 4 months ago, but it was actually double that, which is wild. The end of last year was really a whole new world for the guys, and so much change was brought to the group. An entire rebrand, the loss of an original member, and a lot of attention brought their way. The guys have found their groove these last few months and honestly seem happier than ever because of everything, as it seemed to have revived their sense of inspiration. And Keith and Zach sat down with Colin and Samir this week to spill about some things that happened not only during their scandal, but before and after that, as well as even kind of maybe exposing BuzzFeed a little bit. Now, before we get into anything, I want to let you guys know that today's video is sponsored by Scentbird. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service and is the fragrance destination. This is the place to discover new scents or stick to your favorites. Maybe even find scents that are similar to the ones that you love if you want to try and switch things up, but don't want to stray too far away from what you know. This month, I received Deck of Scarlet's Your Majesty, Michael Germain's Sexual Secrets, Delina La Rose Perfume de Marly, and this one was so freaking good. It was giving woody, rosy scents, and it is certainly giving me all the summer vibes. And I associate memories to scents, so if I wear these 3 scents for the next 3 months, I'm quite literally going to be remembering this summer strictly by these smells for the rest of my life. If I ever smell it again, I'm going to be 2023 summer. And these are all new scents to me, which I love. I love switching things up. Sometimes I want to stick to my favorites like Marc Jacobs Daisy, but other times I do like finding something new, and Scentbird lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month for just $17. Each month you get to pick what you want to receive, so there's no surprises. They have perfumes and colognes and a lot of unisex options, and with each fragrance you'll get a 30-day supply, so you can try fragrances out before committing to a full-size bottle that can be super expensive, hundreds of dollars. Scentbird carries a bunch of big name brands like Prada, Gucci, Versace, as well as indie labels as well, like Skylar, Heretic, and Confessions of a Rebel. And with my code SESH2, you can get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. It's just a little over $7 for your first month, and it's available in the USA and Canada. So head on over to Scentbird and get your own scent of the summer, you guys. This will be the perfect way to get things started. And again, you can use my code SESH2 to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. Thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video, and let's get into everything. Now, the guys talked about what went down with Ned Fulmer, having been exposed for cheating on his wife Ariel with a Try Guys employee named Alex. Alex was an employee below Ned, and him being her boss made the relationship completely inappropriate. That and the fact that he was married and she was engaged, but that was more of a morally bad situation, and he wasn't fired because he cheated. He was fired because a boss can't be with their employee. The scandal went viral, and people were attacking both Ned and Alex. I mean, they both had made content on the Try Guys channel surrounding their own relationships with their partners. Alex had shared some wedding content as she was engaged, and Ned had tons of videos with his wife. So people were just shocked and confused and just what the heck? Especially since they were caught out together by fans in New York City. It was wild how public they were being about their cheating, but in the end, Keith, Zach, and Eugene were left to run the Try Guys as Ned was given the boot, and Ned and his wife Ariel have stayed pretty quiet since the scandal, but the Try Guys left have had to move forward. And on the podcast episode, Keith and Zach talked a little bit more about how they felt when everything went down, and they very much felt like everything was going to go up in flames and their audience was going to feel completely differently about all of them, not just Ned.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're meeting us right now. We're still in a transition, right? It's something that fundamentally shook the core of it shook our core, the core of our company. It shook the core of what we do and how we do it. And I think within that, we're also taking it as an opportunity to wake up from this crazy, wild ride that's been the Try Guys up to this point, to reevaluate who we are and who we want to be going forward.
They had such a pure, innocent, family-friendly vibe to them and their videos that it was truly the reason the story blew up as much as it did, because people were just in shock that one of the Try Guys of all people would end up in something like this, especially the guy who was known as the freaking wife guy. There were just so many things making the story crazy to everyone, and they didn't want fans to think that they knew about this relationship with Alex and Ned the whole time and that they were just okay with it. That wasn't the case at all, but they did take the time to process it and take care of the situation properly before sharing everything with their subscribers, which is kind of how it leaked out onto the internet before they kind of could speak out on it. But when the Try Guys did address the situation, a lot of people just really praised them for how they handled it. Except Saturday Night Live. They talked about Saturday Night Live on the podcast and how SNL went in a different direction with the sketch than the internet, with the way that they were almost making fun of the guys taking the situation so seriously, and instead of holding Ned accountable like the rest of the internet they were poking fun at Eugene, Keith, and Zach, and it went from being like a, oh my god, we're on SNL to, oh god, we're on SNL.
It was very frustrating when to watch it, because at first, like when it came on, I was like, wow, what if this is funny? And it and they have a take that it works for us.
Well, you see the first screenshot and that's us.
Yeah.
So there was this first moment of like, holy shit, we grew up watching
Right,
SNL.
and I can laugh at first at like, I was like, the food baby. Like,
That was funny. They're covering our niche references.
But as it kept going, I was like, oh no. Oh, they don't get it. Oh no, this is not the mainstream dialogue I want most of older America to watch right before they go to bed about us. Right, because like that we're overreacting. They clearly just don't have the actual facts of what it is, and they're just trying to minimize what happened and oversell our reaction to it.
And it later came out that Ned did have a friend who worked at Saturday Night Live, and people had speculated whether or not that had maybe played a part in why Ned was the one who ended up untouched in this segment of the show.
It felt a bit like punching down at us as opposed to perhaps punching at someone else.
Yeah, there was one person who wasn't made fun of in that sketch.
Right.
Yeah. So that felt unfair.
Yeah.
Now, when talking about how this all affected them, Zach says that the Try Guys felt like a fever dream and they were in a go, go, go mode. And it wasn't really until after the scandal that Zach felt like he woke up, and it really hit him that they've been on autopilot, chasing the views and such all these years. But this point in time gave them an opportunity to kind of reevaluate their company goals, reconnect with their audience, and decide what kind of content they want to be putting out on their channel going forward.
I think now we are finding our company in a much healthier place. I think that it brought us all together. It allowed us to reevaluate what we want to focus our energies on, and to shape the company and our image to be less driven maybe by short-term goals, and to really recommit to our audience and what we care about.
Zach said he personally finds himself wanting to chase after things that excite him, and he is no longer trying to put pressure on making the next viral video. And the scandal kind of reignited some inspiration and new excitement for working with the guys again and made him want to stick around.
There was a little bit of like reinvigoration. I think that I personally had just felt very stagnant for a year or two, and had kind of gotten to a point where I was like, ugh, maybe I need to move on from this in order to grow. Maybe I've run my course. And I think we all had echoes of that within our minds. And then just that debate of, is this where we can do all the things we want to do? And so for better or for worse, this shit happened. It allowed us to kind of reinvigorate our passion for the group. It made me more excited to think about what it could become.
So in a way, this happening is maybe the reason why the Try Guys are still going on, because it sounds like they were very close to maybe splitting up and going their own separate ways. I mean, we see Eugene now working on his own side projects, and he's just a little booked and busy right now, but it sounds like they were about to get to a point where they were all about to start signing up for other things and possibly wouldn't have had the time to come together as much. And if their audience felt that disconnect, they may have also strayed away from them. But this scandal seemed to bring the guys left closer and their audience as well. Even people who used to watch them years ago ended up coming back to watch them once again, as their love for them was reignited seeing how they handled the whole situation and only wanted to lift them up. The whole thing did kind of make them wonder if they should be weary of sharing their relationships going forward in any sort of relationship content type of way, as Ned was known as the wife guy because he shared so much about his relationship, and people were extremely invested in his marriage and his little family, as him and his wife were a big part of the channel. And it made Zach really hesitant to share some of his wedding. It has since passed and he did end up sharing it, but he certainly is being very reserved in what he is sharing.
Well, there was this question of like, should we just not touch relationship stuff?
Sure.
And I decided, one, I didn't want to let someone else ruin my fun. This was something I was looking forward to for a long time. I was excited to have the opportunity to turn something I loved into art. But I also knew we had a plan of how to go about it in a way that didn't feel invasive.
And even recently, Zach said that after the wedding content, he would probably not be sharing anything further about his relationship just to keep things private.
We don't plan on sharing a ton about our relationship as we move forward. This video series is probably like the last real in-depth look you're gonna get into us as a couple. But this is something we were excited to share. You know, weddings are fun, it's cool.
They say their goal moving forward is to expand the number of people that are in their videos, so the content doesn't always need to center around one of the three of them, because life does get busy and some things do happen where they aren't able to film, so adding more members to the videos would be something that they hope to do. But on this subject of them wanting to add more people to the videos, there's been jokes that they're kind of like their own BuzzFeed now. I mean, it's where they got their start. So I found it quite funny when they had some things to say about their time at BuzzFeed. They said that their office was kind of cult-like, and there was a strange reward system for videos that did well at the company.
We all got pins and buttons when we made good videos, and that was sort of a weird cultish currency. Yes, you got a pin. Like there was a pin that had some guy's face on it for a YouTube hit. There was a different kind of pin
based on benchmarks.
Yeah, that had for a Facebook hit, and then eventually they established this weird, it was very culty. This like a hoodie you could get.
You got your hoodie though. It was like your SNL jacket. Wow. It was like, welcome to the club, buddy.
That's
and
crazy.
we all drank the fucking Kool-Aid.
Oh,
I now can look back and be like, wow. But back then it was like, I need that fucking hoodie.
And the reason this was even coming up was because they were talking about how the Try Guys even got their start in the first place, which was something that they had to push to continue because BuzzFeed didn't like the same people to be in the same kinds of videos because they didn't really want people to get famous.
BuzzFeed didn't want the people to become famous, and that's why they really leaned into Tasty, because you didn't know who made it.
Yeah.
They were very resistant to let people become personalities within the company, because, you know, in a business strategic way, they didn't want people to have leverage,
of course,
and ask for more money because this brand relies on this person.
They explained how they left BuzzFeed, and around that time, there were a lot more shows coming up with the same people in them, like Ladylike and Worth It, because BuzzFeed kind of realized that people did like that content. But when they decided to leave, it did have to do with money and wanting to expand their brand, and they did want to kind of model some of the things from BuzzFeed in their own company, and they brought some people with them from BuzzFeed. Obviously, it was the best decision for them to leave and start their own thing. All these years later, the guys are still a big conversation and their fans are extremely loyal to them. And I mean, when you look at BuzzFeed, it's certainly not the same. And at the time when they left, they said that there were a lot of layoffs and things as well. So they chose to leave at the best time, and it clearly was a very good move. But that is what's been going on with the Try Guys, how they've handled everything through the years, especially this last one. I want to know what you guys think about all that was said, and can you believe this was 8 months ago? Like, I feel like this scandal just happened, but let me know your thoughts. And once again, you can use my code SESH2 to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. The link will be in the description. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.